In 1993, a young girl named Angie Housman disappeared after getting off the school bus just a short distance from her home in St. Louis, Missouri. The 9-year-old had been walking home with other neighborhood kids, but when she didn't arrive, her parents grew concerned. After searching the area with no success, they called the police. The authorities soon launched an extensive search, including helicopters, K9 units, and thermal sensors, but found no trace of her. Leads poured in, and suspicion initially fell on her stepdad and even her estranged father, though neither were involved. The case quickly gained media attention, with many theories circulating, including the possibility of an abductor who had attempted to kidnap a girl nearby just days before. A composite sketch was made of a man seen driving a blue sedan in the area, but the suspect remained unidentified. In the following days, psychics added their visions to the mix, but these were disregarded by investigators. A significant clue emerged when Angie had told her teacher that she was going on a trip with her uncle, though there was no such person in her life. 9 days later, on November 27th, a hunter discovered Angie's body in a national park. She had been bound, her head wrapped in tape, and her body showed signs of assault. It was revealed she had died from exposure after being kept alive for nearly 9 days. Forensics uncovered a fingerprint on the tape, but it didn't lead to any suspects. The discovery of Angie's body sent shockwaves through the community, who were already on edge. Just days later, another child, 10-year-old Casey, went missing and was found murdered shortly afterward, leading authorities to fear a possible serial killer. Despite intense investigation, no solid connections between the two cases were found. Gary, a man who had previously tried to abduct another girl, was questioned, but his alibi cleared him. However, he admitted to assaulting 4 other girls and was sentenced to prison. The investigation into both cases continued, but the identity of Angie's abductor remained elusive. Wise. In February of the following year, detectives made a breakthrough when they discovered Casey's body and found tire tracks nearby. Experts identified the tracks as those of a pickup truck, commonly rented from a popular company, which led the detectives to interview residents in Casey's neighborhood. One woman reported seeing the truck near her neighbor's house a week after Casey's disappearance. Police soon learned that the woman lived with her partner and brother, who initially denied any connection to the pickup, but detectives obtained a search warrant and found traces of Casey's blood in the basement, along with the murder weapon. Further investigation revealed that the woman's brother, Thomas, had rented the truck. He initially denied involvement, but eventually confessed. Thomas explained that Casey had knocked on his door to invite his nephews outside, and after he let her into the house, he attempted to assault her. When she screamed, he struck her with a heavy object, covered her body with bed sheets, and left it in the basement for a week. After the searches for Casey intensified, he took her body to St. Louis and disposed of it there. Thomas was sentenced to death, but he died in prison years later. He denied any involvement in the murder of another woman, Angie, but police concluded the cases were unrelated. The investigation stalled until 2001, when a businessman donated $250,000 as a reward, leading to a surge in tips. However, most of these led nowhere. Then, in 2001, an inmate named Corey Fox confessed to over 10 murders, including Angie's, but discrepancies in his story, such as inconsistent details about the crime scene, led detectives to doubt his involvement. In 2002, another case involving a child's murder reignited suspicions, but the perpetrator was caught quickly and was unrelated to Angie's case. In 2007, the case of Angie's tragic death took a dramatic turn when detectives decided to revisit the evidence, armed with new advances in forensic technology. Key items found at the crime scene, handcuffs, tape, and a piece of underwear, were re-examined with more sophisticated methods. What seemed like an ordinary piece of clothing turned out to be the breakthrough they needed. A tiny DNA sample extracted from the underwear was sent for analysis, and the results shocked everyone. The DNA was a perfect match to Earl Cox, a 58-year-old inmate with a dark and violent criminal history. Up until that point, Earl Cox had never been a suspect. He had been serving time for unrelated crimes, including his involvement in operating an online platform dedicated to child abuse. Cox had been imprisoned since 2003, but it wasn't until 2007 that the investigation would take a crucial step forward. The revelation that his DNA was linked to the crime scene led detectives to reopen the case, and the pieces began to fall into place. When confronted with the evidence, Cox initially denied any involvement. However, the pressure mounted, and eventually, he broke down and confessed to Angie's murder. His confession was chilling, but some parts of his story raised questions. Cox claimed that after a car breakdown, he had abducted Angie, held her captive for several days, and then killed her. The details of his story didn't entirely add up, and some aspects of his account seemed rehearsed, raising doubts about the truthfulness of his confession. Still, the admission of guilt was the breakthrough investigators needed, and it was enough to secure a conviction. For Angie's family, the conviction brought a bittersweet sense of closure. While they could now rest knowing that Cox would never harm anyone again, the pain of Angie's untimely death still lingered, a wound that would never fully heal. Sadly, Angie's mother, who had been emotionally crushed by the loss of her daughter, never lived to see justice served. She passed away in 2016, heartbroken and believing that the person responsible for her daughter's death had never been held accountable. Her tragic death weighed heavily on her husband, Ronald, who held on to a painful belief he was convinced that Cox's actions, the loss of Angie, and the resulting grief had directly contributed to his wife's deteriorating health. It wasn't enough to bring Angie back, but it was a step toward holding Cox accountable for the lives he had destroyed. The weight of the years spent fighting for justice, for a future where they could find peace, was finally beginning to show signs of relief. During court proceedings, one of his other victims bravely spoke out, declaring that Cox would not define her future. It was a bittersweet moment of triumph, a victory that came too late for some, but still significant. This case highlights the lasting impact of violent crimes and the power of modern forensic science, which helped solve this cold case. DNA technology and investigative persistence played a pivotal role in bringing justice to Angie's family and other victims. Forensic advancements like DNA analysis are helping solve cases that were once thought unsolvable, offering new hope for victims waiting for justice. The case is a testament to the perseverance of investigators and victims' families who refuse to give up. It shows that, even against overwhelming odds, justice can still prevail. For those affected by similar tragedies, the message is clear: never lose hope. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime stories. Thank you for watching, and remember, justice may be delayed, but it is never denied.